करता है वो आपका अधिकार है और उसके प्रति आपको जागरूक रहने की आवश्यकता है। आपको ये समझने की जरूरत है कि आप इस देश के सबसे कुशल मानव संसाधन हैं और आप अपने अधिकारों के बारे में जानें, समझें। जीवन की आपाधापी के बीच हम सब कहीं ना कहीं अपने आसपास हो रहे मानव अधिकारों के उल्लंघन से कई बार वंचित रह जाते हैं। हमें समझ में नहीं आता कि हमारे आसपास ये जो हो रहा है वो मानव अधिकारों का उल्लंघन है या नहीं। मानव अधिकार दिवस का मुख्य उद्देश्य अपने अधिकारों के प्रति लोगों को सचेत करना, उन्हें जागरूक करना और साथ ही साथ हम सबको इस बात के लिए भी उत्साहित करता है कि हम अपने आसपास हो रहे
गलत गतिविधियों के प्रति सजग रहें और मुखरता से, प्रमुख ढंग से आवाज उठाएं। भारत में राष्ट्रीय मानवाधिकार आयोग अपने स्थापना के समय से ही समाज के कल्याण के लिए लगातार प्रयत्नशील है। संयुक्त राष्ट्र महासभा ने 10 दिसंबर 1948 को विश्व मानवाधिकार घोषणा पत्र जारी कर पहली बार मानवाधिकार और मानव की बुनियादी मुक्ति पर घोषणा की थी। 1950 में संयुक्त राष्ट्र ने हर वर्ष 10 दिसंबर को
सफर में मानवाधिकार के क्षेत्र में कई ऐसे काम हुए जो अपने आप में मिसाल बन गए। भारत में भी समाज के कमजोर से कमजोर तबके के बीच कई तरह के जागरूकता कार्यक्रमों के माध्यम से, सेमिनारों के माध्यम से, नुक्कड़ नाटकों के माध्यम से उन्हें ये एहसास दिलाया जाता रहा है कि मानव अधिकार उनका भी अधिकार है और वो भी इन अधिकारों के प्रति सजग हों, सचेत हों और जागरूक बन सकें। नई दिल्ली के विज्ञान भवन में मानव अधिकार दिवस के अवसर पर विशेष कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया गया है और इस कार्यक्रम में प्रतीक्षा है भारत की प्रथम नागरिक, देश की राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू का। भारत का स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन मानव अधिकारों के लिए प्रेरणा का एक बड़ा
अधिकार, राय और अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता,
काम और शिक्षा का अधिकार, बहुत कुछ शामिल है। किसी भी इंसान की जिंदगी, आजादी, बराबरी और सम्मान के अधिकार का ही मानव अधिकार है। भारतीय संविधान इन अधिकारों की न सिर्फ गारंटी देता है बल्कि इसे तोड़ने वालों को अदालत की सजा का भी प्रावधान है। जीवन के हर स्तर पर मानव अधिकारों का विशेष महत्व है। देश और दुनिया में मानव अधिकारों के लिए लड़ाई लड़ने वाले एक्टिविस्ट, समाजसेवी भी आज इस कार्यक्रम में शामिल हैं। दुनिया भर में आज का दिन मानव अधिकार दिवस के रूप में मनाया जाता है। राष्ट्रीय मानवाधिकार दिवस के अध्यक्ष न्यायमूर्ति अरुण मिश्रा और इसके साथ ही राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू का आगमन होता हुआ समारोह में
Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of National Human Rights Commission, we extend a warm welcome to the Honorable President of India on this momentous occasion of Human Rights Day. It's a great honor to have the august presence of the Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu ji. We are also privileged to have Sri Justice Arun Mishra, Honorable Chairperson NHRC, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Honorable Members and Secretary General NHRC, UN Resident Coordinator in India, and other foreign dignitaries amidst us this morning. विज्ञान भवन के इस प्रांगण की शोभा बढ़ा रहे बाल सदन के छात्र, दिव्यांगजन, स्वच्छता कामगार, LGBTQI सदस्यों का, आप सभी का हम हृदय से स्वागत, हृदय से अभिनंदन करते हैं। यह तो धर्म तत्व जया की परंपराओं वाला हमारा भारत, जहां मानवाधिकारों की संकल्पना सदियों पुरानी है। यह वो भारत है जो संघर्षों की प्रचंड अग्नि में जला, विदेशी आक्रांताओं के निरंतर आघातों को सहकर भी सत्यमेव जयते एवं अतिथि देवो भव के आदर्शों से नहीं हिला, जहां मानव सेवा को माधव सेवा, मानव अधिकारों को मानव धर्म का दर्जा दिया जाता है। हमारी इन्हीं शाश्वत परंपराओं में शामिल है दीप ज्योतिर नमोस्तुते की दिव्य परंपरा। माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से करबद्ध आग्रह, कृपया दीप प्रज्वलित कर आज के कार्यक्रम का मंगलमय आगाज करें। मंच पर आसीन अन्य गणमान्य विभूतियों से भी मेरा निवेदन, कृपया दीप प्रज्वलन की इस परंपरा में शामिल होकर हम सबका गौरव बढ़ाएं। शुभम भवतु कल्याणम, आरोग्यम पुष्टिवर्धनम, आत्म तत्व प्रबोधाय, दीप ज्योतिर नमोस्तुते। वो पावन धरती जहां ज्योति प्रतीक है न केवल प्रकाश का, बल्कि शांति का, संपन्नता का, सहिष्णुता का, सौहार्द का, मानव संवेदनाओं का और सबसे बढ़कर ऊपर उठने के निरंतर संकल्प का। अस्तु मां सदगमया, तमसो मां ज्योतिर्गमया की वो पावन परंपरा, जिसकी मिसाल हिंदुस्तान ने पूरी दुनिया में कायम की है, उन्हीं परंपराओं के मार्ग पर आगे बढ़ते हुए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी। May now request Honorable Chairperson NHRC to present a bouquet and memento to the Honorable President of India. गौरवशाली पल जब आज माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी का सानिध्य हमें हासिल है, उनके सानिध्य का सौभाग्य हमें हासिल है। धन्यवाद। 10 December is an auspicious day for humanity, a day that marks the landmark adoption of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. May now request Sri Justice Arun Mishra, Honorable Chairperson NHRC, for the welcome address on this special day as we enter into the 75th year of UDHR.
Honorable President of India, esteemed members of the Commission, present and former judges of the Supreme Court, Attorney General for India, chairpersons and members of the Tribunal, national commissions and state commissions, officers of the central and state government, office bearers and representative of the United Nations organizations, diplomats, learned members of the bar, media persons, civil society members, distinguished invitees, students, members of LGBTI, Swachhata Karmi, ladies and gentlemen. Universal Declaration of Human Rights is entering the 75th year of Amrit Kal. It is a proud privilege to have women present on the occasion, adorning the highest constitutional post of the world's largest thriving democracy. It shows India's supreme commitment to human rights and social order, providing justice and dignity to all sections of society. It also manifests fragrance of our constitutional democracy. Her journey from being a school teacher to becoming the president has been a source of inspiration. Her inimitable and undeterred pursuit of social service for the welfare and upliftment of the poor and underprivileged is laudatory. I am honored to welcome dignitaries on the dais joining us today to celebrate shared common values. Their presence indicates the commitment to protecting, preserving and promoting human rights. I welcome the young generation whose future depend on our affirmative action to keep intergenerational equity in mind. Finally, I welcome everyone here carrying individuality and dignity, a rich part of our cultural ethos. India is a multilingual and multicultural society. Unity in diversity is our strength. We assimilated all the religions into Sanatan Dharma. Hence we have the concept of Manav Dharma. Our culture and philosophy aim at transforming humans into Karma Yogi as enunciated in Gita. To attain the highest spiritual gain and ultimately moksha, this entails process of character building for the welfare of universe. The fundamental right to live with human dignity carries responsibility and discipline. Constitutionally envisaged under Article 51A, performing duties is a prerequisite for claiming rights. Every right springs from commitment to duty. Gandhi wrote to United Nations Human Rights Committee when the Union Charter was being formulated, I quote, "All rights to be deserved and preserved come from duty well done." Thus the very right to life accrues to us only when we do the duty of citizenship of the world. Now, from this fundamental statement, perhaps it is easy to define the duties of man and woman and correlate every right to some corresponding duty to be first performed. Every other right can be shown to be usurpation, hardly worth fighting for. I wonder if it is too late to revise the idea of defining the rights of men apart from duty, unquote. Decline and fall of civilization occurs due to lack of discipline. Only when rights are demanded and duties are forgotten. To succeed in his life, a person has a responsibility to discharge his duties. To protect our right to life, we have to perform the duty to protect the environment and protect climatic change. More so, while achieving sustainable development goals, we cannot keep cutting trees and claim the right to live in a healthy environment. Human Rights Day reminds us of love and affection for all fellow human and living creatures. We cannot exist alone. We need to coexist. Different rights interact. Respect for each one's right is the day's mandate for survival of human race. The theme of United Nations slogan for the year is dignity, freedom and justice for all. It reminds us of Rigved Shloka, Sangachadhvam, Samvaddadhvam, Samvo Manansi Janatam, Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve, Sajjanana Upasate. Meaning thereby, take everyone together in human progress. Our basic tenet is Bahujan Sukhaya, Bahujan Hitaya. While celebrating Human Rights Day, you must look back at the history of evolution and emancipation and build upon that for a better future. The vulnerable groups suffer from slavery, servitude, forced labor, compulsory labor, human trafficking for illegal purposes and forced prostitution. Many children are forced to traffic drugs and work in drug factories. Trafficking for forced gambling and begging is also taking place. There are millions of victims of human trafficking the world over. Human rights are inalienable. They take place in public discourse. Courts, while interpreting the provisions, remedies violation of rights in accordance with the procedure established by law. Freedom from fear, suppression and oppression is essential. The freedom of speech and expression are supreme, which has to be exercised with responsibilities while protecting the dignity of others. Fulfillment of a promise of justice on the ground level is necessary for inclusive growth. To ensure justice to all, the system has to build a homogeneous and productive society. We have to create trust in institutions, spread awareness of available legal tools even to vulnerable section. Childhood is required to be protected. Article 31 of the Convention on Right of the Child provides that they have the right to educate, rest and leisure, engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to age, active participation in culture and arts. Today we violate these rights with impunity, taking false pride in putting a disproportionate burden of education during childhood. We have to get rid of child labor, child trafficking and child sexual abuse material. Commercialization of education is also a cause for concern. We see discrimination against women worldwide due to social, customary and religious practices. The time has come to take care of same by enacting legislative provisions to remove discrimination in inheritance, property rights, parental rights, domicile of married women and legal capacity. Improving the condition of women in vulnerable sections and in rural areas is needed. To ensure equality, empowerment of women through development and proper education is essential. They cannot be made to suffer discrimination and gender violence for eternity. Without providing dignity and equal rights to them, a celebration of the day is meaningless. The Supreme Court has shown the way for equality by progressive interpretations. Article 44 of the Constitution enabling equality by enacting a common civil code should not remain a dead letter. The globalization has brought foreign investment. One outfall is the concentration of wealth in the hands of transnational enterprises and few countries. Globalization has created centers of power, even in competition with the power of states. Free movement of capital causes money laundering. The challenge is ensuring the right to livelihood from aggregator platforms with no investment. The majority of them are distributors. Their monopoly disrupts the global supply chain. They can change the shape and location easily and are involved in anti-labor practices of hire and fire, predating pricing, and dodging taxes in gross violation of human rights. Hence, new approach should be adopted by judiciary, legislative, executive, and human rights institutions. Even civil society has to be vigilant. It is necessary that safeguards in domestic regulations should be anchored in international legal obligations towards victims of business-related human rights violations. The terms and licensing conditions to operate must include provision for protection of human rights. We must ensure respect for human rights by multinational corporations and guard against their superior bargaining power within the national legal framework. Licensing regulation must protect the interest of national industries and businesses. For calamities caused by industrial disasters, transnational enterprises' responsibility has to be well defined. For example, the world's worst disaster, the Bhopal gas tragedy, occurred in 1984. Approximately 3,000 people died. Around 336 tons of hazardous waste is still lying in the premises. The property had changed hands. Delay in disposal of such hazardous waste by a multinational company contaminates the groundwater and soil and is direct abuse of right to health of the survivors and residents of the area. Large businesses are strictly liable under Section 135 of Companies Act to discharge corporate social responsibility. By contributing 2% of the average net profit every year, whereby companies contribute to a better society, judicious use of these funds need to be channelized by the government. Protecting human rights is necessary while safeguarding against climatic change. In the process, justice for those adversely affected has to be ensured. Alternative employment has to be planned to meet the fallout of climatic protection and gradual reduction of greenhouse gases. Environmental and other human rights activists also require protection in various countries. Respect for nature, flora and fauna, biodiversity, environment and ecology is our fundamental duty incorporated under Article 51A of the Constitution of India. It is well reflected in our culture and philosophy. We find the principle of sustainable development goals deeply embedded in Vedic culture. For example, the Prithvi Sukta of Atharvaveda contains sustainable development principle that we must respect Mother Earth, its soil, sand, rocks, plants and vegetation, etc. Shila Bhumi Rashma Pansu Sa Bhumi Sangrata Grata Tasye Hirana Vakshuse Prithivya Ankara Namah Yasya Raksha Vanaspatya Dhruva Istanti Vishwaha Prathvim Vishwa Dhayasa Grata Macha Vadamasi. Our philosophy goes to the cosmic balance. Sun and moon, essential for life on earth, are preached in India. We live in harmony with Panch Bhuta, Chiti Jal, Bhavak, Gagan, Samira. Our scriptures indicate that they have to be preserved and protected. We have the primitive concept of protection of Tapovan, Abhyaran, wildlife sanctuary, Aranya, that is forest, Shivan, beautiful forest, Vanshri, forest which provides livelihood. To ensure dignity and justice for all, we have to develop social order where a person can grow and fulfill his desires, pratyaksh, direct intent, or paroksh, as per perception, that is sense of knowledge. By striving towards excellence and in pursuit of his choice, he has to be afforded full opportunity to achieve his goal. Moral and intellectual property rights are to be protected in invention and original work, but such rights must not apply for the purpose of education and protection of right to life. At war footing, we have to fight manufacturing of spurious drugs. It is criminal act that should receive strictest punishment. No one should be allowed to play with human life. The development of nations is judged by human dignity, not by economic growth devoid of morals. Technological advancement should benefit humankind. Individual freedom cannot go against morality of society. This would disturb the very fabric of our society. Cyberspace is being blatantly used for criminal and immoral purposes. It is fundamental to the right to life that we live with dignity and provide the same equally to others. India has tradition of treating Sharanagat, that is refugee, with compassion. Human rights of refugees are sometimes criticized for being overreaching. The exercise of sovereign power and balancing is required to preserve and protect both. Though refugees have human rights, they are to be protected as per sovereign policy. Humanity suffers from terrorism. September 11 and November 26 are remembered as Dead Days. To combat terrorism, Security Council adopted a resolution that it is the international obligation of the state to take measures and to cooperate against terrorism. The measures include criminalizing the collection of funds for terrorist acts and support to the terrorist. In addition, the International Convention for Suppression of Financing of Terrorism of 1999 provides for action against financing terrorism directly or indirectly through groups or under the guise of charitable, social, or collateral goals. The international community must unite to take all possible measures to wipe out this scourge. The Commission last year received 1.21 lakh complaints and decided 1.28 lakh cases, including carry forward cases. The Commission recommended compensation of rupees 11.69 crores in 356 cases. In addition of 21 advisory issued during COVID period, the Commission has recently issued advisories on bonded labor, food security, protection of environment, commercial truck drivers, discrimination against persons with Hansen's disease, for mechanized cleaning and providing safety gears to workers involved in cleaning of sewers and septic tanks, prevention of ocular trauma, and rehabilitation of people with low vision. We need to focus on plight of septic tank workers immediately. The Commission, in its endeavor to do justice for all, is committed to ensure that the benefit of social welfare schemes of free housing, health, food, pension, and other similar trickle down to the needy. In such cases, directions are issued immediately for fulfilling the objective of socio-economic equity. The distributive justice is a tool to fulfill basic needs, which is pivotal constitutional obligation of a welfare state. We have to work untiringly to protect, preserve, and promote human rights. The protection of individuals' human rights is sine qua non for flourishing of democracy. The welfare of the people is the welfare of the state. Praja sukhe sukham ragya, prajanam tu hite hitam. Abhigyan Shakuntalam by Kalidas mentions that when it is the duty, it is the call of the public duty, it has to be performed even at the cost of rest. There is no right to rest when it is the call of the public duty. Avishramoyam Loktantradhikara. Our ancient culture, literature speaks of working together for achieving larger goals. Samani va akuti, samana hridayani va, samana mastu vo mano yatha va susaha sati. We are united in purpose, harmonious in feeling, and together in mind. The universe exists in harmony and balance. Today, on Human Rights Day, we remind ourselves of our duties. By hard work, sincerity, perseverance, clarity of vision, and dedication to the cause, one day we will surely achieve the goal of dignity, freedom, and justice for all. We will try and do what we can. For that, each one of us needs to contribute towards happiness of the humanity. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for such stimulating words. May I now request Sri Devendra Kumar Singh, Secretary General, NHRC, to present a report on major activities of the Commission.
Honorable President of India, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen, I am feeling honored to present the present report on the key initiatives of the National Human Rights Commission for the last 1 year. The Commission is deeply committed to protect the 4 founding pillars of the human rights, that is, right to life with dignity, liberty, and equality. The Commission has developed many mechanisms to achieve the objectives as envisaged in the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. During the past 1 year, suo motu cognizance has been taken in 53 cases based on the media reports of human rights violations. Holding camp sittings at Shillong, Guwahati, and Ranchi has strengthened the ecosystem for better protection of human rights. Interactions with NGOs and human rights defenders were also held. Adoption of digital technology for the registration of grievances and its processing by young legal consultants has resulted in quick decision of more than 1 lakh cases and resultant compensation of Rs 9.14 crore in suitable cases. The investigation division conducted 46 spot inquiries. Based on the direction of the Honorable High Court of Calcutta, a committee headed by the Honorable Member of the NHRC inquired and submitted a report into cases of post-poll violence in West Bengal. The committee has recommended a grant of compensation and rehabilitation. Deaths in police custody are the worst violation of the human rights of an individual. The in-house research has indicated that the number of police custody death cases reported to NHRC has registered a fall of 26.5% during 2015 to 2019. It appears that one of the factors of this impact is the issue of a number of guidelines and instructions of NHRC, which has infused a sense of accountability and sensitivity in the police. Recently, the Commission has sought a report from the states and union territories as to how many under-trial prisoners and convicts are languishing in the jails after the completion of 1/2 of the maximum period of sentence and expiry of sentence period, respectively. About 2,450 cases of marginalized people from Odisha were taken up, and more than 51,000 names of beneficiaries were included in the list of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana after hearing state government. The benefits of other social welfare schemes were also extended. About 500 similar cases from West Bengal are under active consideration. Consultation with the core group members and other stakeholders resulted in the issuance of advisories. Accepting the recommendations of the Commission, the central government has directed all states to maintain a minimum corpus of rupees 10 lakhs to provide immediate assistance to the rescued bonded laborers and has enhanced the minimum financial assistance at the initial stage up to 30,000 rupees for rehabilitation of rescued bonded laborer. About 2 lakhs teachers were about to lose their services from government. Owing to NHRC intervention, the Ministry of Education relaxed a one-time stipulation for the regularization of services of postgraduate and graduate teachers. Transport is a significant sector of the business world over. To ensure the human rights of commercial truck drivers, this year the Commission issued an advisory for providing rupees 15 lakhs insurance cover and other amenities for the truck driver. The Commission has also identified 97 laws containing provisions discriminatory to persons suffering from Hansen's disease. States have been requested to amend these acts. The Commission issued advisory to address the problem of deaths of sanitary workers involved in cleaning of sewer and septic tanks, sans safety gear, and a direction to report deaths within 48 hours. Recently, Commission visited 4 mental hospitals, held workshop at 3 locations, and got inspected 35 mental hospitals by special rapporteurs. The Commission advised the authorities to send back the patients who have been cured to their families, as it is a total violation of Section 19 of the Mental Health Act 2017. NHRC is a member of APF Governing Committee and Bureau of Gangnery and is playing an active role as chair of the Gangnery Finance Committee. To highlight tenets of human rights and culture, a national conference on human rights in Indian culture and philosophy was organized. The debate competition on the topic maintenance of human rights is the primary prerequisite of rule of law and constitutional governance was held for armed police forces. The Commission holds flagship internship program and competition of painting short films. Commission has increased dialogues with 26 state human rights commissions, focusing on the difficulties being faced by them in the states, and also developing a mechanism for effective handling of the grievances. With these affirmative actions, we hope that our efforts will be helpful in achieving the goals of right of life, dignity, freedom, and justice for all, as precisely reflected in our motto, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhino. Jai Hind. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for such a lucid and luminous report. It's a matter of great pride that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has sent us a message on 74th Human Rights Day, and it's my singular honor to invite Mr. Shambi Sharp, UN Resident Coordinator in India, to read UN Secretary General's message.
Your Excellency, Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, Honorable Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Justice Arun Mishra, Honorable Members and Secretary General of the Human Rights Commission, representatives of government, of the judiciary, of the civil society human rights defenders, colleagues from the diplomatic community and United Nations agencies, and most of all the young people, members, representatives of the world's greatest youth generation. Namaskar, mujhe aap sab se milkar bahut acha laga. On behalf of the United Nations team in India and as representative of the UN Secretary General, it is my great privilege to join you for the observance of Human Rights Day. The 10th of December is commemorated across the world as the anniversary of the adoption by the United Nations General Assembly of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, articulating arguably one of the greatest living legacies of our collective human history. I'm pleased to begin by reading to you this year's message of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who I can say deeply valued his recent visit here to India, including joining Prime Minister Modi for the launch of the Lifestyles for Environment initiative. And I quote, "The world is facing unprecedented and interlocking challenges to human rights. Hunger and poverty are increasing, an affront to the economic and social rights of hundreds of millions of people. Civic space is shrinking. Media freedom and the safety of journalists are in dangerous decline in almost every region of the world. Trust in institutions is evaporating, especially among young people. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to increased levels of violence against women and girls. Racism, intolerance, and discrimination are running rampant. New human rights challenges are emerging from the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And we are only beginning to grasp the threat posed to human rights by some new technologies. These trying times call for a reignition of our commitment to all human rights, civil, cultural, economic, political, and social. The call to action I launched in 2020 positions human rights at the center of solutions to the challenges that we face. This vision is reflected in my report on our common agenda, which calls for a renewed social contract anchored in human rights. The 75th anniversary of the landmark Universal Declaration on Human Rights next year must be an opportunity for action. I urge member states, civil society, the private sector, and others to put human rights at the heart of efforts to reverse today's damaging trends. Human rights are the foundation for human dignity and the cornerstone of peaceful, inclusive, fair, equal, and prosperous societies. They are a unifying force and a rallying cry. They reflect the most fundamental thing we share, our common humanity. On this Human Rights Day, we reaffirm the universality and indivisibility of all rights as we stand up for human rights for all." End quote. Dear colleagues, India has long been a champion both of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself and the concepts of dignity, freedom, and justice for all, this year's Human Rights Day themes. These ideas permeate India's constitution, which itself reflects India's essential nature as a pluralist and tolerant society. The world celebrates famous Indian icons such as Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar and others. And thanks to an Indian woman, Hansa Mehta, Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes not the equality of men as originally drafted, but the equality of women and men. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. As the world's largest democracy, during this time of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, now as a member of the UN Human Rights Council, as President of the UN Security Council, as President of the G20, which will coincide with the 2030 Agenda Midpoint Stocktaking Summit at the UN General Assembly next year. The world community looks increasingly to India's leadership in furthering the principles of the Universal Declaration and sustainable development for all, leaving no one behind. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I wish all of you on this day a happy Human Rights Day. Aap sabhi ko Manav Adhikar Divas Mubarak ho. Bahut dhanyavad.
आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्रीमान. इट रिमाइंड्स मी ऑफ दोज फेमस लाइन्स, मेरे देश में मेहमानों को भगवान कहा जाता है, मेरे देश में मेहमानों को भगवान कहा जाता है, वो यहीं का हो जाता है जो कहीं से भी आता है. थैंक यू वंस अगेन सर. Sri Amit Shah, Honorable Home Minister, has also sent us a message. May I have the honor of requesting Dr. Gyaneshwar Manohar Mule, Honorable Member, NHRC, to kindly read the message.
महामहिम राष्ट्रपति, देवियों और सज्जनों, मानवाधिकार दिवस के शुभ अवसर पर माननीय गृह मंत्री एवं सहकार मंत्री का संदेश। मुझे यह जानकर हार्दिक प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि राष्ट्रीय मानवाधिकार आयोग द्वारा दिनांक 10 दिसंबर 2022 को मानवाधिकार दिवस मनाया जा रहा है, जिसका थीम डिग्निटी, फ्रीडम एंड जस्टिस फॉर ऑल है। हमारे संविधान की प्रस्तावना न्याय, स्वतंत्रता, समानता और बंधुत्व पर जोर देती है। यह चार शब्द मानव अधिकारों की पूरी श्रृंखला को खूबसूरती से समेटे हुए है। मानव अधिकार दिवस का प्राथमिक उद्देश्य मानवाधिकारों पर चर्चा करना और लोगों को मानव अधिकारों के बारे में जागरूक करना भी है। मानवाधिकारों के सम्मान से ही हम एक समाज के रूप में विकसित होते हैं। आज का दिवस हमें एक मानव होने का अर्थ और मानव जाति की बुनियादी गरिमा को बढ़ाने में हमारी भूमिका पर विचार करने का अवसर प्रदान करता है। मुझे आशा है कि भारत के सभी नागरिक भेदभावों से ऊपर उठकर सभी के मानवाधिकारों का संरक्षण करेंगे। मानवाधिकार के अंतर्राष्ट्रीय घोषणा पत्र के अमृतकाल में हम सभी देशवासी पुनः मानवाधिकारों के संरक्षण और प्रोत्साहन के लिए प्रतिबद्धता प्रकट करते हैं। मैं राष्ट्रीय मानवाधिकार आयोग के सभी अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों को मानवाधिकार दिवस पर अपनी शुभकामनाएं प्रेषित करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। अत्यंत गौरव का विषय है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने भी मानवाधिकार दिवस पर अपना शुभ संदेश हमें भेजा है। श्री न्यायमूर्ति एम कुमार, माननीय सदस्य NHRC, से सादर निवेदन की माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के शुभकामना संदेश को पढ़कर हमें अनुग्रहित करें।
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable the Prime Minister's message, I quote, I am extremely happy to learn about the celebrations of Human Rights Day 2022, organized by National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, in New Delhi. The theme of this year's Human Rights Day, dignity, freedom, and justice for all, is extremely meaningful and apt. Indian philosophy and culture have always been a strong proponent of respecting every form of life. Our history and freedom struggle, in particular, are a saga of fighting for lofty values of freedom and humanity. In fact, the fundamental rights enshrined in our Constitution capture the very essence of basic human rights. Our government is working unflinchingly towards building an inclusive and equitable society with rule of law, justice, equality, and fairness being its pillar. Such an approach will help create an ecosystem that will enable everyone to fulfill their socio-economic aspirations and live a life of dignity. We have taken a series of steps to remove all barriers of discrimination, be it women, Divyangjan, transgender persons, marginalized sections of society, or other vulnerable groups. We have been proactive and sensitive in our efforts to ensure fairness, justice, and empowerment. As India assumes the presidency of G20, we also have a chance to showcase our values of rights and respect for everyone. As the mother of democracy, we will continue to promote peace, harmony, and democratic values the world over. The 25-year period of Amrit Kal till 2047 is an opportunity to work collectively towards building a strong and glorious new India. May the Human Rights Day 2022 celebration inspire each one of us to uphold the principles of dignity, freedom, and justice for the larger benefit of humanity. Best wishes to NHRC and everyone associated with the Commission for making Human Rights Day celebration a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now is the time for the release of two flagship publications of NHRC that have been recognized as academic journals by the University Grant Commission. आयोग का पहला प्रकाशन है वार्षिक हिंदी पत्रिका मानवाधिकार नई दिशाएं। इस पत्रिका का प्रकाशन हर वर्ष किया जाता है और मानवाधिकार दिवस पर इसके विमोचन की परंपरा पिछले 18 वर्षों से लगातार जारी है। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय से सादर निवेदन की पहली पत्रिका मानवाधिकार नई दिशाएं के 19वें संस्करण का विमोचन कर इसकी पहली प्रति माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी को भेंट करें। ये पत्रिका जनमानस में मानवाधिकारों के बारे में जागरूकता पैदा करने का भागीरथ प्रयास है। The second publication is the NHRC Annual English Journal, which was started in the year 2002. May I request the Honorable Chairperson to release the journal and present the first copy to the Honorable President of India. This journal is an important tool that gives an insight into a large spectrum of human rights issues. It's a noble collection of articles by eminent academicians, research scholars, human rights, and legal experts. NHRC also brings out other significant publications. Details can be seen on the NHRC website. Thank you, sir. May I now request Honorable President of India to kindly address us and guide us on the path of human rights protection. माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से विनम्र आग्रह कि अपने आशीर्वचनों से हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें। हमें आशीर्वाद दें माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी।
Chairperson, National Human Rights Commission, Sri Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, members of the NHRC, Sri Justice M.M. Kumar, Justice Dr. D.M. Mulai, Sri Rajiv Jain, NHRC Secretary General, Sri D.K. Singh, the chairpersons and representatives of the Human Rights Commissions of the states, UN Resident Coordinator in India, Sri Samboy Sarf, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad to be participating in the Human Rights Day celebrations organized by the National Human Rights Commission. It is an important occasion for the whole of humankind, as it was on this day in 1948 that the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, also known as UDHR. The adoption of the UDHR was a landmark event in world history. Today, there is a high degree of awareness about the concept of human rights. The principle of equality underpinning it has been widely accepted. But nearly 75 years ago, the world was a bit different. The large number of human beings were treated as less than equal. The advent of modernity, it seemed, had dispelled the clouds of the dark ages, but the sun of progress was yet to shine everywhere. At that point, the world leadership got together, drafted this milestone document, and proclaimed that each of us as a human being is entitled to basic rights. Today, we fail to understand why something as simple as basic dignity could be denied to someone solely on the basis of their race, religion, gender, or language, or where and in which group they were born. Any mention of the UDHR is bound to remind us of the incomparable contribution made by an Indian to its drafting. Hansaben Mehta, as you know, was India's representative to the UN Human Rights Commission, when the very first line was drafted as, "All men are born free and equal." It was Hansaben who suggested changing it to, "All human beings are born free and equal," a minor correction with major implications. She was a disciple of Gandhiji and widely participated in the freedom struggle, which I think explains her refined sensibility. Yet, progress towards equality has been a slow journey in many places. The text of the UDHR is said to have been translated into more than 500 languages, which makes it the most translated document in history. Still, when we consider the sad developments that keep taking place in many parts of the world, we wonder if the declaration has been read at all in some of those languages. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that human rights are a work in progress around the world. At home, however, we can take solace in the fact that the National Human Rights Commission has been making the best possible efforts to spread awareness about them. Now, in its 30th year, the NHRC has done a commendable job of protecting as well as promoting human rights. It also participates in various global forums for human rights. India is proud of the fact that its work has been appreciated internationally. It has been enjoying the status of accreditation with the global network of national human rights institutions called GANHRI. It is highly notable that the NHRC has been proactive in making up redressal in a range of issues from child labor and bonded labor to health and mental health, disability and elderly persons, women, children, LGBTs, and more. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I am told a team from the NHRC visited a hospital to ensure no one was denied admission and treatment. It is also prepared and issued advisories to ensure all human rights were respected in the authorities' response to the pandemic. In addition, the Commission also promotes research on these and other matters. It has supported research on, for example, the criminal justice system. I had an opportunity last month to share my views on the plight of under-trial prisoners. In that case, and also in many other cases, I believe our intentions are always noble, yet they need to be followed up vigorously to give positive results. That is why developing sensitivity and sympathy is the key to promoting human rights. It is essentially an exercise of the faculty of imagination. If we can imagine ourselves in the place of those who are treated as less than human, it will open our eyes and compel us to do the needful. You might have heard of the so-called golden rule, which says, treat others as you would like them to treat you. That sums up the human rights discourse beautifully. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the beginning of the worldwide year-long celebration of the 75 years of the UDHR. The United Nations has chosen dignity, freedom, and justice for all as the theme of the year 2022. That is close to the ideals expressed in the preamble of our Constitution. What do we mean by justice? The preamble explains it is justice, social, economic, and political. I have said before that we would strive to expand the notion of justice. Over the past few years, the world has suffered from a high number of natural disasters caused by unusual weather patterns. Climate change is knocking on the doors. People in the poorer nations are going to pay a heavier price for the degradation of our environment. We must consider the environmental dimension of justice now. The challenge of climate change is so enormous that it forces us to redefine rights. 5 years ago, as you know, the High Court of Uttarakhand had held that the Ganga and Jamuna River have the same legal rights as human beings. But why stop at only 2 rivers? India is a land of sacred geography with countless holy lakes, rivers, and mountains. To this landscape, the flora and fauna add rich biodiversity. In old times, our sages and seers saw them all as part of a universal whole along with us. So, just as the concept of human rights exhorts us to consider every human being as not different from us, we should treat the whole living world and its habitat with respect. I wonder, what would the animals and trees around us tell us if they could speak? What would our rivers say about human history, and what would our cattle say on the topic of human rights? We have trampled on their rights for long, and now the results are before us. We must rather relearn to treat nature with dignity. This is not only a moral duty. Let us remember it is necessary for us, for our own survival too. I congratulate the NHRC and state commissions, all members and officials associated with them, as well as the human rights activist community around the world on the Human Rights Day. I thank the NHRC chairperson, Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, for granting me this opportunity to share my views with you all. My best wishes to you. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem. मानवाधिकार दिवस 2022 के पावन अवसर पर माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी का
उम्मीद करते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय मानवाधिकार आयोग यूं ही देश में प्रगति और उन्नति और सामाजिक सद्भाव समरसता बनाए रखने में अहम भूमिका निभाता रहेगा। आइए शपथ लें कि मानवाधिकार दिवस के अवसर पर हम सब भी मानवाधिकारों के प्रति सजग, सचेत और जागरूक रहें। आज के इस विशेष प्रसारण में बस इतना ही। पूरी टीम को दीजिए अनुमति। नमस्कार।
आप देख रहे हैं डीडी नेशनल, नए भारत का नया दूरदर्शन।
हमने फसल बीमा योजना को अधिक प्रभावी बनाया, उसके दायरे में ज्यादा किसानों को लाए।
नहीं है डर, नहीं फिकर, मिली हमें नई डगर, फसल का करवा के बीमा के